Welcome back, everyone. Today we are talking about the Waterway Mermaid NEMO Fin again. I wanted to address questions about these fin for specs, for tail skins, for uses, everything that would apply to a mermaid. Let's address monofins for just a second. There are three categories that most monofins fit into. They're either free diving, fin swimming, or for mermaids specifically. These fins right here are technically free diver monofins. However, I, as a mermaid, have used them strictly for mermaid things now. Ordering your fins, you go to finswimworld.com, not just Waterway Fins. Waterway is part of the distributor network. In here, you'll find three options: Kids Wave, Mermaid Nemo, and Mermaid Monofin. I've had a lot of people accidentally order Mermaid Monofin, and they're mad that they have the circular little foot pockets instead of the full coverage. So specify when you purchase, you want Mermaid Nemo, not just Mermaid. About 186 USD plus shipping, plus if you want to buy a bag with it. Click Mermaid Nemo, wait for it to load. Here's what it's gonna pull up. So it's gonna choose size. This one's me. This one says US 5 to 7. I'm wearing a size women's 8.5. Soft, medium, or hard. So those are stiffness 1, 2, and 3. Fin in particular is a fiberglass, not carbon fiber fin. In blade stiffness, we advise selecting blade stiffness in correlation with your overall weight and physique. But we know that for this particular blade, you either get soft, medium, or hard. So you go back here, find soft. Do you weigh here? If not, are you medium? And then hard. Here are the bird's eye measurements of this fin. Monofin brands you've probably heard of are Mermaid Linden, Mermaid Mahina, Fin Fun. There are a bunch. The biggest differences I've found between mermaid monofins and freediving monofins are the fact that materials are different, foot position's different, weight is different, and size is different. These are a lot wider than most of your mermaid monofins. Typical materials for mermaid monofins include rubbers and plastics, or silicones, whereas freediving fins usually incorporate fiberglass, carbon fiber, and then some type of rubber for your feet. The first question I wanted to address is, does Mermaid Mahina and Waterway have an interchangeable relationship to tail skins? The answer is yes, but also no. Let me tell you why. This is a goby skin made by Kelpie fins. This fin shape was designed for Mahina specifically. Let me show you what a Waterway looks like in the skin. Here's what the blade looks like in the tail skin. It fits. Does it fit well? Sure. You can get it in the tail. Let's talk about the points of strain that you're going to see on these tail skins. Number one is the foot pockets. These foot pockets are almost 2 inches too wide for most of the tail skins because of the sheer height and the actual width between the pockets. So that's a lot of volume right there on these front seams. The very bottom, the middle is sticking out. It's a little high, isn't it? It's also having the bottom of the blade too far out this way, so too low, and it's going to put strain on these seams, and it makes it balloon kind of weird when you swim with it. So can you fit a Waterway where a Mahina was supposed to go? Yes. Does it fit quite right? No. Can you swim with it? Yes. It just swims kind of weird. If you have a prized tail skin that fits a Mahina and you want to try cramming a Waterway into it, you're more than likely going to end up inflicting damage on it, so I wouldn't suggest doing that. Some downsides to these fins are the fact that there are not a lot of tail makers that automate production for tail skins that fit them well. The second thing is you have to be a really efficient swimmer to be able to use this effectively. The third thing is this is the most expensive set of fins that I own, other than this. I'm sure you've noticed by now the huge freaking crack down the front of this fin. When I was preparing for the Swiss Olympics, my friend had a fin fun skin she wanted me to try, and I was curious if this fit into that skin. The answer was no, and it ended up breaking the blade because the zipper was on the side and you had to fold the fin to get it inside the skin, so that's what cracked it. On the back side, you'll notice all these little lines from fabrication. The bottom starts really thick and then the ends are super thin and flimsy. So this paneling is how they made that effect, which caused weak spots in the fin against inside-outside pressure like that. All this residue is flexing and it saved a lot of the cracking for a long time, but it's also just getting old and getting used a lot. So this kind of damage is not within the normal wear and tear of a fin. So any warranty that I had wouldn't apply to this. I prefer Waterway over every other type of fin I used because it fits me so well. I have tried the little rubber loopies. I've tried Fin Fun. Mermaid Linden just pokes holes in my feet. they're really hard for me to get used to. I like these ones for my foot scenario specifically because I had surgical reconstruction of my arches, so I needed really wide space and something to hold onto my heel and still support the top of my foot without putting all the strain on the back of my foot. I like this blade because it's big, strong, and powerful. After using this and then trying a Linden or trying a Mahina, I don't feel as big and strong. So I have two thicknesses for two reasons. First blade, this one was for the Swiss Olympics. I got this one and I followed the size guide and the weight guide to a T because I wanted to do it right and what I thought would make sense. After swimming with it for a year, I moved to hardness 2 for a couple of reasons. The first reason being there's a huge crack in this one. The second reason being it's really flimsy. As strong and fast as this was, I was getting too strong for the blade. It wasn't making me feel as good in the water anymore. I switched to a thickness 2. The sizes of these two fins side by side are literally exactly the same. So it's not that the blade is any bigger or the shoes are any different. They're both exactly the same size. I can't get them to line up. There we go. Eesh. Just like that. So they're exactly the same. One's just thicker than the other. After doing some Google searching, I found that some Olympic swimmers are using a thickness level 7. I didn't know they went that high. I switched to the thickness 2 because the flimsiness was definitely putting wear and tear on the actual function of the blade itself, and I was starting to feel that. So now with this thickness 2, even though I don't meet the weight recommendation for this blade, I'm strong enough to counteract that with how hard my dolphin kick is. Is this a beginner-friendly mermaid fin? I personally say no, it is not a beginner-friendly mermaid fin. Reason being is foot favoritism is a problem. Most people are right-handed or left-handed. The same goes to show when you're swimming. You have a harder kick with one leg than you do the other. When you're using these blades, you have to mirror the kick the exact same way. So if one leg is stronger than the other, you're flipping up these corners and you're turning weird in the water, and that's not easy to correct unless you've swam with fins before. So this is not a good thing to start with. Are these blades easy to travel with? For me, yes. I prefer throwing them in my giant bag and then just checking them under the plane. I tend to bring a lot of crap with me when I'm traveling anyway, so if you're not trying to check a bag, I don't feel like I'm much help because I always have way too much stuff. Have I gotten one of these onto a plane without checking a bag? Yes, I took my backpack and then I just threaded this thing down behind me and carried it like that. Now, cheap airlines don't like you doing that. They don't like you having a big bag and then this. So they might charge you for it, they might not. I've only gotten charged once for that. I don't even remember what airline it was, but if it's Delta or any of the expensive ones, they don't say anything to me. For the foot size reference, these ones say 37 to 39 men's European sizes. I'm a women's like 8.5, 9, depending on the shoe. So 37, 39 fits me super well. I have no complaints on my particular foot shape for this one. If I could have a silicone tail with this blade in it, I would. When I was first replacing the monofin inside of this one, I did fit one of the Waterways inside of it. However, the width where the cut wasn't far enough, so it still stuck out the bottom a little bit, but I loved the way it felt. So if I get my way, my next silicone's gonna have a Waterway. The level 1 stiffness is still more stiff than a Linden or a Mahina. Because of the surface area touching your feet, you're likely to get blisters on the top of your foot, both the sides, and your heels. Another question I got was, should I increase the stiffness of my blade over time as a mermaid? And that depends. If you are a mermaid who was just doing this as a hobby, you're not swimming daily, you're not competing, I would not suggest increasing the stiffness of your fin. I don't think it would benefit you for cost, for effectiveness, or for the sake of not having a tail skin that fits it quite right. I also wouldn't increase the stiffness if you are not using them consistently. There is a weird window of learning how to use these blades. So if you're off and on with it, it gets harder to make that transition smoothly. If you're trying to do what I did and you're wondering about blade increase for competitive mermaid reasons, then yes, I do think increasing the thickness would benefit you. Now, you're going to face a lot of costs if you're going through each level, each size. You're going to face a lot of blisters, and it really only works if your training is effective and consistent. Unless you're ready to face the horrors of open wounds on your feet, I also wouldn't suggest using these without dive socks. Dive socks are real thick neoprene socks. There's dive socks that are a thin fabric. They work and they protect your feet, but they wear out really quickly with these and they don't last as long as the neoprene would. And even if you do wear socks, you're still likely to get blisters if you're using these fins consistently or for long periods of time, like a 3-hour swim. Well, I had a grand old time on today's ramble session about the Waterway Mermaid fins. If I missed any of your questions, comment them, DM me, whatever. I want to do whatever I can to get you the information you need. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for clicking the video, and thank you for making this far. I will see you all later.